Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing well. In this video, we'll be discussing some of the toppers copies. We'll be discussing toppers copies from this year 2025 as well as toppers copies from last year 2024, be it AIR 1 Shakti's copies or Forest's rank 1 Kanika Anup's copies or this year's toppers as well. So instead of picking up any one individual toppers copy, I want to show you the best of the answers that they have written, and I want you to have an understanding of how to pick content from these copies, replicate the writing style that these copies have, in the sense that these answers are your window into looking what UPSC is wanting from your answers. These are our best guide towards looking at what UPSC is rewarding currently. So let us start. Now before starting, I want to give you a few pointers on how to utilize these copies. See, one way is to pick up the content, pick up the facts. That I think should be your last perspective or take from here. I want you to rather look at these toppers copies as say the best copy possible on the following question. So what you can do is, for example, if you're reading GS4, revise the entire content, the notes that you've prepared for GS4, and then take up some toppers copy, somebody who has scored the highest, second highest, third highest in the GS4 subject this year or last year, and then try to write the same kind of questions. After you're done writing these questions, try to then look at the answers. Now, in these answers, look for the dimensions that they have been able to address. Look for the value addition that they have been able to do. Look for the examples, the quotes. You can also pick up this content, but that should not be your primary purpose when you're reading a toppers copy. Then also go through, say for example, the number of points that a topper is writing. Now there are multiple copies, so you will get multiple kinds or ways of writing that you can find. Try to find a topper's copy जिसको आप mimic कर सकते हो. For example, largely there are two writing styles. One side that basically can write a lot of points without doing a much elaboration on those points. Then there is other writing style जिसमें आप you write 2.5 lines to a point. Now you have to find out that effectively what is your natural way of writing, and living in those writing style you have to try to enhance and improve upon your writing style. ठीक है, तो just try to find a copy that sort of resonates with your writing style और उसी style को आप और better बनाने की कोशिश करो. I hope I'm making sense right now. Then what you can do is look at the diagrams that they're making, look at the content, look at the facts, and try to look for the source that they're collecting these facts from or these examples from. For example, if I'm seeing some newer examples on some civil servants that have done some good things in the recent past, I would want to look for the source that is providing this information. For example, the Better India website, etc. So try to look for the source in order to mimic this copy properly, and once you're able to do that, your scores would naturally improve in the test that you write, right? With that, let us start. This answer I've picked up from Shakti's copy itself. Now in this, I want you to look at the question first. Educational institutions are pivotal in instilling ethical values in students by integrating moral education with academic learning. Now, to this, read the quote that she has started with in the introduction. It is easier to build stronger children than to repair broken men. If you remember, this was one of the UPSC previous year's essay quote, right? Now from here, you should be able to pick up that essay quotes और ऐसे phrases अगर आप इसको reuse कर पाओ अपने answers में, I think it would be really great, right? For this, I'll show you in a little while how you can pick up some of these essay quotes and phrases and how you can link them with your ethics answers, right? Then this quote highlights the significance of value-based education for children. Educational institutions are one of the prominent agent of such change, or you could also written that is the first formal agent of socialization, right? That. अब इसके बाद what you should be picking up from this answer, the points are largely general. Educational institutions are pivotal for ethical values in students. Now, what I want you to answer in this question is the ability to link this question with what are we doing currently in this regard, picking up from your other GS subjects. So, GS2 mein you must have read about the new education policy 2020. Not only in the conclusion but also in some of the points, try to mention about what the new education policy is doing in this regard. Try to also take up from the best practices. The Finland model, the Japanese model, the German model that focuses a lot on vocational education. Try to pick up from these best practices and try to inculcate it in your answers. So what I want you to pick up from here is that quotes and everything, it is good, but you should also use your knowledge base across GS 1 to 3 as well, and then try to answer it in GS 4 better. Try to interlink, showcase your knowledge better. What is India doing already to instill value education, right? So that was about this. Let us move forward. Like I said, I'll be showing you some of the essay topics that you can possibly use. Nearly all men can stand adversity, but to test the character, give him power. So this can be linked to, say, abuse of power related questions. Then a society that has more justice is a society that needs less charity. Again, another topic that was asked in our essay paper, I think in 2023 if I'm not wrong. Then this can be linked to the values of equity. तो जो भी past 5, 6, 7 years के essay papers हैं, what you can do is just take a printout or just add it to your tab, and in the bracket just mention the values that are reflected via these quotes or phrases. So when you do that, naturally जब आप multiple times इसको पढ़ोगे, you will be able to replicate them in your exam as well. Education is what remains after one has forgotten what one has learned in school. Again, your syllabus topic 1, role of educational institutions in inculcating values, right? Ships do not sink because of water around them. Ships sink because of water that gets into them, which means that your external environment won't harm you as much as your internal self can, right? That is the motive, that is the perspective of why these topics are being asked. So find out the underlying value. जैसे आप philosophical essays को break down करते हो, by finding out the underlying value, that is how you should break down and keep them for when you write your essay or ethics answers. Life is a long journey between human being and being human. Can be linked to a value of compassion, empathy. Right? So this is how you can pick up some of your essay topics and keep them as a repository for when you're writing your ethics answers. Now, another answer. What do each of these following quotations mean to you in the present context? A nation's greatness. Read the question carefully and see how accurately the answer has been done. A nation's greatness is measured by how it treats its weakest members. The quote is given by Mahatma Gandhi. Now, Gandhi in his Talisman talks about the weakest person in the chain, or the weakest person in the link has to be protected. That is what Gandhian Talisman is all about. So naturally, in a single theory or in a single word, she has given the essence of what the statement is largely talking about. For example, kabhi-kabhi we get questions related to ends versus means debate. In that, in the introduction itself, you should address that this is nothing but you are talking about the ends versus means debate, which means the teleology versus the deontology debate that we often find ourselves in. So that, again, another linkage that she's drawn or another similar theory that she's been able to write is Deen Dayal Upadhyay's Antyodaya, which is care for the last person, right, or the least advantaged again. The nation's greatness lies in making policies which are more oriented towards the vulnerables in society. It could have been avoided as well because you've largely addressed what the question is talking about. Now, the question here is talking about a nation's greatness is measured. Now here, using her GS2, GS3, GS1 knowledge, she has mentioned several individuals or several categories of people that India has worked for. For example, steps taken by India. Now, who are the vulnerable sections in any country? If I were to address those, let us say the women, let us say the children, transgenders community, right? The poor, minorities, right? The tribes, etc. If you want to go a bit beyond this, you can write about climate refugees, not just of your own country, but of the other countries as well, right? Now see how she's used up the language or the content from GS2 to answer this better. Manrega to provide wage employment to unemployed rural poor. Then PDS to ensure food grain to people below the poverty line. Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao to improve girl child education. SC/ST Prevention of Atrocities Act. Now, via these acts, via these initiatives, via the schemes, etc., that the government is taking for different groups, you could have addressed what the government is largely doing for each of these vulnerable sections, right? So you have to stop looking at ethics in a silo. जो भी आपको पूछा जा रहा है, you can always interlink with the facts, with the knowledge that you have in your GS2 and GS3 as well, right? So I hope this is clear by what I was trying to explain in this question. First is trying to give some deliberate value addition in the introduction. Gandhian Talisman, then Deen Dayal Upadhyay's Antyodaya. One more similar philosophical approach or theory that talks about it is your Rawls difference principle. Rawls difference principle speaks of the same thing, that if there is any difference that is coming between the people, it should be in order to benefit the least advantaged, right? Similar perspective. So she's given a lot of interlinkages and value addition in the form of theories here, and in terms of using the schemes, the acts, etc., the policies that we have formulated as a country in order to help or secure the vulnerable or the weakest section. ठीक है? तो दिस इज व्हाट यू शुड बी पिकिंग अप कि डाइवर्सिटी हिट होनी चाहिए आपके हर आंसर में, एंड वैल्यू एडिशन शुड ऑल्सो बी टेकन केयर ऑफ, राइट? नाउ लेट अस मूव फॉरवर्ड. In the context of public administration, discuss the importance of effective persuasion to achieve the goals of administration. Now again, one of the other keywords from the syllabus is persuasion, social influence, right? So a naturally expected question. Now, she has introduced with PM Modi during the recent Civil Servants Day speech, held that the civil servants in India have moved from being a rusted steel frame to a trusted steel frame, and then to link it better with the question, she's linked it with signifying the importance of public administration in building society. Very simple. Now, what is the content of value addition that you have on this topic of persuasion? You would remember Aristotle. He said, to be an effective communicator, you have to focus on three things. the logos, the ethos, and the pathos. What is logos? The logic that you're giving that person, the facts that you're giving to that person should be able to communicate or persuade the person better. Ethos, the character of the person. For example, RBI governor giving you financial advice, you would readily take it. Some celebrity giving you financial advice, you would not care to take it. Pathos, the emotions. For example, the use of slogans that is done, right? In order to imbibe certain emotions in people. So persuasion mein you should see ki how, say, a diagram, a mini diagram is used to showcase or explain something better. Now yahan pe what you could have done is written some two points related to logos, ethos, pathos, and how each of these will lead to achieve or has led to achievement of the goals of administration. So not just treating it as a passive diagram, but rather actively using each of the components to draw certain points, right? For example, anemia mukt Bharat ke liye, what have we given? We've given some logical data, etc., right? And hence led to the effective implementation of the initiative, right? Rest is, I think the points are common. Usko up, you can read it better by downloading the copy as well. These are common points. For example, PM Modi's Man Ki Baat. For example, in the current context, agar aapko persuasion use karna ho, you can link it with the Prime Minister urging the country to not buy gold, to not use a lot of vehicles, personal vehicles to commute, right? So that can be taken. Then Swachh Bharat Abhiyan and PM's appeal to follow sanitation and hygiene. General examples जो आप daily basis पे देखते हो, these can be used. Now this question, emotional intelligence empowers a public servant to skillfully manage interpersonal dynamics, hence fostering a cohesive work culture. Now, whenever you introduced, say, from a general point of view and then go to the specifics of what the question is dealing with. So here you start with general emotional intelligence and how it leads to specific, that is fostering a cohesive work culture. I would also like to enhance and work upon the idea of introduction here. See, the idea of introduction should be such that if an examiner is reading your answer without even knowing the question, by how you have written your introduction, the examiner should be able to figure out कि question किस बारे में होगा. For example, I'm not sure if we have added that answer here or not. If the question was on ambivalent attitude, a student or a topper gave the definition of attitude, and they simply drew this diagram. Negative attitude, positive attitude, and in the middle they drew ambivalent attitude, right? So by looking at the introduction itself, you would be largely able to tell what the answer or what the question is about, right? So that should be the perspective of introduction, कि without even reading the question, the examiner by reading your introduction should be able to tell कि question किस बारे में है, ठीक है? Now, what is emotional intelligence? So she has started with giving a significance or relevance of emotional intelligence. It takes more than intelligence to make intelligent decisions. More than intelligence, here she is referring to the IQ part of it, right? We could have also drawn something like this. Not in the introduction per se, but in the middle of the answer somewhere, this could have been drawn, that it takes more than just IQ but also EQ to take an important or an intelligent decision, right? And then she's given a definition of emotional intelligence here, right? Role of AI in public administration. Now here, say during demonetization, public servants skillfully motivated the bank officials. Response of Kerala public administration during 2018 floods. Here, I would want to advise you कि आप थोड़े ज़्यादा specific names लिखे. For example, she's done it here. E. Sridharan sir's example. She's written Armstrong Palmer's example. Smita Sabharwal, institutional delivery. Her efforts towards institutional delivery. So you can use these, right? So you can use these as well as you can prepare some newer examples using websites like Better India. Okay? So Better India, so you can pick up some of the newer examples, the efforts. For example, in IPS, singing the national anthem to calm down a protesting crowd, etc. So ye examples are that you can pick up. The newer the better, I would say, because again these are much used examples year after year. So newer examples would help you in scoring better marks. Then let us see how to integrate current affairs in your ethics answers per se, especially in the introduction part. And this, I think if you go through some of the other toppers copies as well, ये largely GS3 में हम करते हैं कि if we write, say if there's a static topic that has been asked, you should try to tell the examiner why do I think this question has been asked, or what is the recent information or news that I have with regards to that. Did the Prime Minister visit that place? Did something happen with respect to that? For example, if the question is on President, try to give a recent context. If the question is on anti-defection, try to give a recent context, right? That. So, what are the key teachings of Thiruvalluvar? Again, it is common but a little bit difficult when it comes to ethics. What are the key teachings of Thiruvalluvar and how are they relevant in today's world, right? A fairly purely static question, but here in the recent G20 summit, Prime Minister gifted Thirukkular to the guests, signifying the relevance and importance of the book even in the present times. So basically, she's trying to gauge why this question has been put in the picture. In the exam also, when you try to do that to at least 7-8 questions, I think you would do very well. Now, key teachings of Thiruvalluvar. Now, before coming to the answer here, what I want you to take away from this question as well is, you might not know the exact teachings of Thiruvalluvar. In fact, at times आपसे कोई ऐसा saint, आपसे कोई ऐसा कोई पूछा जा सकते हैं जिसमें you do not know much content about them. But see, ultimately, if they are asking you religious leaders, philosophers, and moral thinkers, which is your topic. Philosophers and moral thinkers are your topic. अब अगर कोई moral thinkers है, I may not know what exactly did they say, but can you actually deny what they said if I'm using words like fraternity, if I'm using terms like social cohesion, right? They might not have said something directly, but they of course will not vouch against it. ठीक है? So whenever a question is being asked on, say, philosophers or moral thinkers, and you do not have a lot of specific data, specific information about them, just try to write good keywords of ethics that you know. Ethics तो आपको आता है, right? So just try to write good keywords around these thinkers. And try to beautify your answers further by linking it with a contemporary dimension of that value. Let us see how. Right? So, key teachings of Thiruvalluvar. Now, she's quoted him. Again, this quote has come in one of the previous years. I think in 2023 itself it came, that falsehood takes the place of unblemished good if it intends for common good, something related to that. It is not exactly this. The book talks about moral relativism, another keyword from ethics that she's picked, but it might be the case that ये directly उन्होंने address कभी ना किया हो, right? So you can talk about it. What I meant by giving it a recent or a current touch is by giving recent examples. See, teachings would remain the same. Guru Nanak's teachings will never change, ji, right? So what you can do is just give it a modern perspective, right? A modern perspective by adding recent examples. India's Pathankot air strike, right, can be justified on grounds of national interest. Or for example, he criticizes moral muteness. Again, another keyword which you can tell that might not be the exact teaching of Thiruvalluvar. Okay? He talks about fraternity and social cohesion and harmony, the concept of peaceful coexistence followed by India through Panchsheel. Or let us say you could have written यहाँ पर neighborhood first policy or the Sagar policy of India, security and growth for all in the region. Right moral conduct. India rescued 3 Pakistani soldiers under Operation Sankalp, right? Or Operation Dost. You can link it with empathy and compassion as well. So these are some of the newer examples. See, the teachings would remain the same even if you do not know the exact teachings. A philosopher or a moral thinker will never teach you things like, will always be linked to values like fraternity, brotherhood, etc. So you can always write good ethical keywords and then try to link it with some of the newer examples of IR, some of the newer examples at the societal level, etc. Okay? So again, from these answers, what you have to pick up is agar answer na bhi aata ho, to how do you still create an answer that gives you above average marks, right? Then come to this copy. Now in this answer, again, the use of current affairs. Social audits and the Right to Information Act are not merely tools of financial accountability, but instruments of participatory ethics that empower citizens to hold power to account, right? So it is talking about the effectiveness of them in ensuring transparency, accountability, and ethical governance. Social audits and RTI. With Meghalaya institutionalizing social audit and 20 years of RTI, it is pertinent to recall their role in participatory governance. It may not be very recent as well, but you can still utilize your information of knowing something, why was it asked, say in the past 3-4 years, and then try to recount on that knowledge of current affairs and start an introduction with that. It impresses the examiner in thinking that, okay, they know the context to a certain question and why the question they think might be put into here. Then rest examples are similar, I think. Transparency, Meghalaya social audit revealed gaps in the pension release. MKSS utilized RTI to create Jan Sunwai in Rajasthan, right? So these examples again are nothing but the convergence with the governance part of GS2. So whatever you're doing, whenever you read the public ethics part or the public governance or public administration part of ethics, what you should do is also revise your notes of governance, so that जब आप ये answers लिख रहे हो, this should be helping you in coming up with good examples of schemes, of policies, of actions that have been done in the governance sector, right? So, जैसे for example, Nal Se Jal scheme guidelines, then Himachal Pradesh, voluntary disclosure leads to efficiency of governance, then she's given example of Himachal Pradesh, right? So again, you can pick up from answers like these कि आपको क्या way forward लेना चाहिए from copies like this and answers like this specifically, that using current affairs to start an answer to tell the examiner why do I think that this question has been put in the perspective, first of all, and secondly using your governance, GS2 governance knowledge and examples to enhance your answers in GS4 better. So do not treat ethics in a silo would be my suggestion. Then let us see the dimensions that should be covered in an answer. What is the question? Live as if you were to die tomorrow. Learn as if you were to live forever. Live as if you were to die tomorrow. Now we are engrossed in the hustle culture, right? There are people who talk of retiring at 40. We don't even know if we would be alive until we are 40, right? So this we have to talk about, live as if you were to die tomorrow, the first subpart, and the second subpart would be learn as if you were to live forever. Now see the dimensions that have been covered, see the examples that have been covered. Living as if you were to die tomorrow, what would you do if you were to die tomorrow? You would practice all your hobbies, right? You would practice, or you would, try to let go of all the material things that you hold. Right? You would want to enjoy life to the fullest. So, living in the moment and not in the future. For example, yoga and meditation as examples. Choosing ethical path and not the easier path. For example, in Pahalgam, Nazakat Ahmad Shah saved lives as if there was no fear in him. Right? Focus on the larger things and not the transient things like money. For example, charity done by late Sri Ratan Tata ji, right? Then doing things which make the world remember us. As Kabir says, when you come into this world, you cry. When you go, do something which makes others remember you. Okay? So try to understand, isme bhi what one more thing that you can do is try to write the underlying values or the dimensions that you can cover. Live as if you were to die tomorrow. Try to see the positive thing in this. Live as if you were to die tomorrow means that you would want to do everything that makes you happy, but that happiness also should not be in the narrower sense of the term, but rather in a better sense of the term. You want to make world remember you for good that you did, right? Learn as if you were to live forever. Learn as if you were to live forever. Ab isme I would want to give perspective taking from, for example, the very infamous pestle approach. In examples, learn as if you were to live forever. Technology is constantly changing, so I would want to learn technology like I am to live forever. So I would always stay up to date. I would always enrich myself, right? Learning not just in schools but whole life. Skill upgradation for AI in budget 25, right? Learning through playing in Jadui Pitara, the NEP 2020. Learning via other creatures. Buddha used the idea of Sangha from animals. Learning and transmitting to others. YouTube content creation by Orange Economy, right? So learn as if you were to live forever, which means that you should always seek more wisdom, more knowledge. Isme you could have linked it with other values as well. Wisdom, knowledge, wisdom as one of the virtues that Plato emphasized upon, one of the 4 cardinal virtues of Plato and Aristotle. So that is what you should try to address. See the kind of points, and even more points could be explored using the pestle approach here, I would say, right? So the maxim held by Gandhi can help one live a fulfilled life, attain all the purusharthas of Indian philosophy, right? I hope this is clear now. See the dimensions in this question that he's tried to cover. Morality is not the doctrine of how we may make ourselves happy, but how we may make ourselves worthy of happiness. what is the question talking about? Now don't think of morality as morality, but you can rather link it with ethics in general as well, right? So morality is not the doctrine of how we make ourselves happy. मतलब ऐसा नहीं है कि by, for example, getting a new car or buying a new bag, that kind of happiness, the material pleasures, but rather how we make ourselves worthy of happiness, fulfilling your duty towards other beings, right? Doing something that you are worthy of doing, that makes you more human. Remember that essay quote, life is a journey between being human and being humane. That could have been written here as well, right? So here he's tried to link it with a critique of the utilitarian theory that was prevalent in his times, right? If you want to give a context to in which context originally Immanuel Kant would have said it in, that could have been written, or you could have linked it with Aristotle's eudaimonia. What is Aristotle's eudaimonia about? He talks of the same thing, that do not look at pleasure or happiness in a very narrow sense, but rather in a broader sense, which means that you should be doing something that you are worthy of doing, that makes you truly happy and benefits the society as well. Okay? Now, morality is not about becoming happy. Morality involves sacrifices rather than chasing happiness. Then involves privileging common good over personal good, right? It involves long-term benefit over short-term benefit. I think here the points could have been on a negative note as well. For example, how currently we see material pleasures as true happiness, and then he could have addressed it in the second subpart as making ourselves worthy of happiness. So the positive points should have come in the second dimension. The negative points, or looking at happiness in the narrow sense, could have come under, for example, you could have quoted the Oxfam report of inequality here as well, and the second side you could have addressed that how you should not look for these narrow sense of happiness, but rather become more worthy of happiness, work towards minimalism, work towards protecting the environment, etc. So choosing the right intention, for example, Anil Swarup sir, choosing the right means, mission life for citizens, purifying one's soul can be the true meaning of happiness. Paryushan Parva in Jainism teaches forgiveness, right? Choosing the right ends. India called for a representative UN to ensure its success. So see the dimensions that have been covered via, exploring multitude of or a multiple variety of examples. That is what I wanted to show you via this question. Again, you could have linked it with Aristotle's eudaimonia. You could have given some negative or narrow perspective of happiness here in the first subpart, right? Now let us see a few copies that help you look at how to make a good use of diagrams in ethics. See, diagrams in ethics will not be very information oriented, but they will help you visualize or basically represent a point better, breaks the monotony of your copy in a certain sense, and makes it a little more interesting. For example, when you're writing an introduction on emotional intelligence, EI has the ability to manage self-emotions and emotions of others around us. Now here, the diagram simply shows us that EI is a balance of mind and the heart. Thinking not just purely oriented by the mind or from the mind and from the heart, but rather an ideal balance of both. Having emotions, using emotions, but having control over those emotions as well is nothing but emotional intelligence, right? Then, when I'm talking about probity in governance in the introduction, I can simply show that probity via drawing a Venn diagram. I can show that probity is the common area or the congruence of honesty, integrity and uprightness, right? So it takes honesty, integrity and uprightness, the wantingness or the ability to uphold integrity at all times is what brings probity. ठीक है? So these are just a few ideas of how you can use diagrams in ethics. Another diagram, I think this is Kanika's copy. She's answering a question on corruption, fragile accountability increasing corruption. So she says that it disrupts its self-feeding loop. Accountability leads to transparency and transparency leads to accountability. Both of them lead to good governance, simply, right? That there is a loop that is created between accountability and transparency, which in turn leads to good governance, right? So this is one way that you can use diagrams in ethics. Then you can look at this. Now it is not any, it's to the visual appeal. So whenever somebody asks that should it be mandatory to be using diagrams in ethics, I would say not so. It is not so, because you can just use diagrams to sort of break the monotony of the points. थोड़ी visual representation appeal better करने के लिए answer की you can do so, but not, it is not mandatory कि इसके बिना you will not be able to convey your point better. If it comes to you naturally, please do that. And there's also a video in which I have discussed how to use diagrams in ethics and what are some kind of diagrams that you can use in ethics. But I would say that do not focus entirely on trying to make a diagram when you're not able to do so, or when it does not come naturally to you, right? Now, for example, this question on empathy. So here, what they've written is empathy, compassion. Why has compassion been given a bigger bar? Because compassion is more action oriented, right? And this is antipathy, right? So this is what you can draw as diagrams in ethics via graphs, via pie charts, via Venn diagrams, right? All this can be done. Then here I simply wanted to show you the difference that presentation makes in your answers, especially in the case study जहाँ पे there are some things that everyone does, right? Ethical issues सब लोग लिख रहे हैं, stakeholders, wherever there are less number of questions, I would advise you to write stakeholders. And in fact अगर आप stakeholders लिख रहे हो किसी case study में, it will aid you to find out the ethical issues and dilemmas that exist. Now for that, when you're mentioning stakeholders, there are multiple ways that you can represent your case studies or stakeholders. For example, you can draw a pie chart and then mention few of the stakeholders. Me as the DM, minister, the citizenry at large, election commission, my family, etc. And she's given different areas and spaces based on the case study. Another is the stakeholders in the case. Simple representation. What you can also write this as is stakeholders on the one end and their interests on the other end. So whoever the stakeholder is, for example, Election Commission of India, what would be in their interest? Conducting free and fair elections. So that is how you can represent your answers. So presentation better करने से भी at least it breaks the monotony of your answer, right? To try to do that. Then last we have the conclusions. Now in conclusions, what you should be ideally trying to do is try to give some way ahead before ending the conclusion. और जब आप way forward या way ahead बताओ, conclusion should be able to tell that what will you achieve if that way ahead is replicated. अगर वो way ahead हम achieve कर लेंगे तो what would be the conclusion of that, right? For example, probity in governance will help us achieve a Viksit Bharat goal by 2047. Or for example, accountability is an essential tool for the Yogkshema welfare state principle of Kautilya built on ethical governance. So always try to look for some kind of value addition in your conclusion as well. Naturally, I'll be discussing some more conclusions, but for now, if I were to discuss few of the conclusions, just use some phrases from your GS2 governance portion that you have prepared, or for example, use some of the theories, Gandhian talisman, Rawls principles like we just saw in some of the copies, or for example, other theories that you prepare in general, other philosophers' ideals that can be achieved by practicing certain values, etc. So I hope this gives you a better idea on how you should be trying to go about reading toppers copies. Again, try to focus on this suggestion कि जब भी आप कोई toppers copy pick कर रहे हो, okay, sometimes it is fine if you just go through it passively and pick up the content or try to see the dimensions that they've addressed. But what would be more helpful as per me is if you just try to write the same answers without looking at the toppers answers first, and then go back to the copy and see the number of points, the value addition, if there's any diagram that they've been able to draw, if there is some other perspective that they've been able to add, अगर कुछ theoretical perspective add किया है, अगर कुछ value addition है, and this would help you not just in GS4, GS2, GS1, GS3, essay, ethics, or your optionals. It will help you in everything else. So try to look at toppers copy as the best copy possible in the given subject. So just look through the toppers scoring the highest, second highest, third highest in a certain year, and try to find out what gives them that extra edge in that subject, right? I hope the video was helpful. Thank you so much.